Well, welcome to a special edition of the Clay Young Show, and we're talking about the C-Suite podcast that we've been doing since last summer. We've had a great number of guests on the show talking about everything from local government to the O.J. Simpson investigation and everything in between. It's been a blast to get people upstairs in that studio to talk about what's on their minds and what happens in our community. I invite you to pay attention to that show every Monday. It streams on the WAFB app, and you can also see it at WAFB.com. But we kicked it off with a conversation with, at that time, the recently retired Chief Meteorologist Jay Grimes and Steve Caparata talking about being here at the First Alert Weather Team, which is right over there. Here you go.
Great people to the staff. And this might sound like a company or answer, but I'm not a company man. But it really is, you know, when...
You're pretty ornery, as a matter of fact, and people don't know that about you, so...
When Steve came was one of the first moments of, okay, this is a win, because, and he probably knows this a little bit, but our news director at the time wasn't enthusiastic about him. Well, I proved that news director very wrong. This is the best weather guy in TV weather guy in the business,
really?
As far as I'm concerned. And then we bring in Jeff, who's a local guy.
Yep.
And then we bring in Jared, who's another local guy. And now we've got Sydney and ultimately Henry, all are local people. And you know what? This goes back a little bit to your question to Steve about the options of other resources. You know what? There's nothing better than having a local person telling you the local weather.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people say, well, the Weather Channel says, I just shrug my shoulders and say, why are you looking there?
Right.
What do people in Atlanta have?
Right.
Over 5 people ultimately here that know what Perkins Road is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a huge advantage. So sure, they're going to go shopping and looking at some of these fright sites, I like to call them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they come back to this team here that is going to put everything in perspective.
And let's tell the truth, the biggest thing you're happiest about is you won't have to see Johnny Asian anymore.
No, well, I won't have to wear a tie ever again.
You're jealous of him on that front.
Oh my God, it's brutal once a week.
Let me add to what he was saying. 2 things. He's now kind of taken on this role as sort of the official weather voice of the state, but he's been doing that for more than 2 decades,
Oh, that's right.
Multiple governors have leaned on him when times get bad. Multiple mayors here in Baton Rouge. So this is the guy's been the weather voice of the state for a long time. And if you don't mind me jumping in, so, you know, we're podcast, looser format. One of my fondest memories is in my early days, Jay and I would sometimes go grab a few beers, and those are
after work.
Yeah, after work. But
you're not contractually obligated to put that in there anymore, Jay.
That's right.
I'm trying to say this, John.
This is why we're friends.
That's right.
But those are some of my favorite memories, because you know, we got to be 2 dudes hanging out, talk about life. He gave me some good advice along the way.
All right, before we wrap up, let's see. Y'all did a commercial with this. Okay, show me how this goes.
Yeah, look, I came in ready.
So,
he's ready.
I
lived that.
I didn't come with the jeans.
So how's it? You said don't turn. Is it
flip tuck.
Flip,
not roll. Flip tuck.
Flip tuck. It's already flipped and tucked.
Okay, it's flipped. Now you tucked it. There you go. Okay. It's that easy.
All right.
None of that crammed up stuff, you know. It's
really?
Don't just pull it up, apparently.
There's a technique.
I mean, you got the guns showing on.
Have a clean look.
Okay, all right. So he came in with a pro.
I got to tell you, the best part about 9 News this morning is Matt and Liz, and Jared too. I can't think of any other reason you'd want to be watching that show. And specific to that, maybe we'll talk about that in the next segment. But let's go to break and come back with more of the best of the C-Suite here on the Clay Young Show. Welcome back to a special edition of the Clay Young Show as we take a look at the C-Suite podcast and some of the guests that we've had. And I've had people that I've respected and loved and admired. And then there was this episode where I don't even know how to explain it. It was a mistake. The invitation was given. Actually, he's in the space right now. My show was hijacked. My graphic was hijacked. He took phone calls in the middle of the interview, pretending to take calls from everyone from the governor to Vice President Harris. He got text messages. He really is the most awful person on your television every morning on 9 News. Come on over here into the shot. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Because I don't really appreciate the way that you got Joseph to go along with your little game. And he's not wearing a mic because I wouldn't do that to you. And
he's borrowing my mic. This is my microphone I lend to Clay Young. And the reason he's doing this sweet thing today is because no one would come on the show. He couldn't find any
She said,
guests.
Alyssa says no one can hear you, so it's the best you've ever sounded. Here's a clip from that show.
Is that when you spoke with AFB? When did that whole thing begin?
I was at Shadow Traffic as in management and on air from 1997 until 2009. In about 2005, well, we were, pardon me a second. Let me see. Shirley Wayne. I'll call her back. I can't, hang on a second. Hello? Yeah, this is Johnny. Governor Landry? Listen, I'm in the, Clay Young is right here. And tell Jeff, can he call me at noon or 12:30? 12, perfect, thanks. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Now, look. So.
Joseph, for the love of God,
So, here's the deal. 1997.
So you're going to keep lying about turning the volume off on the phone?
It's off. It's off. Hang on one second. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Hello, this is Johnny. Hold for who? Can you? No. I know she's out of town and she's not in Washington. But tell Kamala I'll call her back. Not on. No. Not on that phone. Yeah, that's the one. I got you. Okay, so here's the deal. In 2005.
You're the worst person in this building.
In 2005, we came over here to Nick Simonette. We were doing traffic audio only on Channel 9. They would put up a map of the city, like Google Maps.
I mean, you're not even going to apologize for the 2 phone calls.
Well, I mean, they were legit. I can't, I mean.
Keep going.
We got a hurricane coming. I got
That's
people
right.
that are talking to me.
No, that's got nothing to do with anything, though.
So, we were doing
But I mean,
traffic.
2 calls back to back. But go ahead.
I didn't call me.
Sure.
They called me.
Right.
So
Joseph, you could have talked me out of this, and it would not have been that hard, but, you know.
So, we were doing traffic through a radio
I
broadcast.
mean, you literally just took a phone call. Go ahead.
Was I not supposed to? Are there rules for this show?
No, none whatsoever. You take phone calls in the middle of the podcast. It's fine.
I take them on the air downstairs.
You never do. Literally, have you ever done that one time?
Well, it has rang on the air one time, and I did tell them I'd call them back, and then I turned my ringer off. I did.
My insultant is what you said.
No,
Fraudian
he's a
slip.
great,
oh, sure
great
he did.
person.
That's right.
This is one of the things that he
I
said.
think
Let me
we're
try
good.
to change this with my phone.
Oh
here.
my
Hold on.
God!
Hang on a second. Hold on. Let me get to it. There we go. That is what the consultant said.
So Joseph, you had a hand in this. So Joseph, so this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing right now.
Great.
Yep.
Let me get my head out of the way.
Yep.
I believe the consultant was right. That's going to drive.
And you know what? The word that goes there has the same amount of letters and starts with the same one. Catch you on the next edition of the C-Suite podcast.
And now
Great broadcasting. That's excellence in broadcasting right there. Excellence in broadcasting. You're welcome, Clay.
Now you know why I hate him so much. Just get out. Get out! All right. Though Johnny's great. Look, he sets the morning every morning, helping you get around as you move through the city. But up next, a conversation with family members for 2 young people who were victims of gun violence. We'll get into that next. You know, it's not often that you can meet people who can take tragedy and turn it into purpose, like the 2 families that you'll see on the next couple of conversations on the C-Suite. Kathy Tolliver is the grandmother of Devin Page Jr., a 3-year-old who was shot and killed while lying next to his infant sister. And Allie Rice, an LSU student who was leaving a restaurant after helping a friend close, she too was the victim of gun violence. Devin and Allie are both the namesake for the Paige Rice Public Safety Initiative. It is a model that provides technology for public safety in the parish and actually is the model used in Caddo Parish for their crime initiative there. And I had a conversation with Kathy Tolliver, who is just one of the best people you'll meet, and Paul Rice, I call him Paulie, Allie's dad, and they talked about their tragedy. Here's a bit from those conversations.
You see, there's a big one word that I use a lot, and it's called prevention. When my grandson was killed, I'm out. That's why I'm out here. I don't want anybody to feel, Clay, this pain that we are feeling. It changed our world. And I've always said, until something happens to you, you won't get involved.
You won't get involved. And, you know, for a lot of people, it takes that for them to get involved. The irony of what happened to you is that you have been involved. Long before Devin was born, you were involved.
Listen to me. Listen, people. If you have experienced anything like this, your heart should be that you don't want anybody else to ever experience this. That's why I've gone so hard, Clay, in what I'm doing. Because the day I stop will probably be the day I collapse and just, you know, but it's pushing me. I can't look at his pictures. You know, it's because I'm still in disbelief.
Did you ever think about quitting this community work after this happened?
If you really want to know what I was thinking, at that point, I wanted to tear this city apart. I wanted to tear this city apart from the governors to wherever, because I'm like, y'all did this? Y'all didn't prevent it? I'm going to tear this city up. It just reignited the fire in me, but on a whole different way. I went to the White House.
Yes.
Talking about gun violence.
Yes.
At this point, I don't care what anybody says or what anybody thinks, because my grandson's life mattered, and I'm making it known that his life mattered. In doing that, I'm also letting other people know that their children's life mattered.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
had a grandmother to tell me, Kathy, my son was killed right at my feet. All of these murders that I'm hearing about now never came forth until I start speaking out.
Yeah.
And then they start coming to me. We've got to do something.
Yeah.
First off, before I answer that, we had to talk about you having me follow Kathy.
No, not on the same show though. Every time we've done a press conference or something about the Paige Rice Initiative, that's one of the things is like he does not want to be after Kathy. I don't want to follow Kathy Tolliver, man. She's too impressive. But we've known each other going on a couple years now. We met almost a month or so, maybe a couple months after this happened, when I called you about us naming the initiative after Devin and Allie. And in the time I've known you, at least not to me, you have ever expressed rage. And I'm sure there has been some. I mean, maybe there hasn't. I mean, was there that level of rage or anger in you at all about this having happened to your daughter?
Yes, but I'm not one that usually displays it.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah,
definitely.
I've never seen it from you.
There's definitely a lot of internal anger.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think more than anything, it's more of a sadness towards what we lost.
Yeah.
Over time, felt rage towards the community out there that's protecting the people that are committing these types of crimes.
You saw Kathy a couple of weeks ago,
Absolutely.
and how she felt about that, and I don't get it. Obviously, if we couldn't understand it because we're not wired to do what some of these people will do. But I think when you have this glorification of some of the violence, I don't think people understand the other side of it, which is what's left in the wake of this foolishness. and it's glorified on social media. It's, I mean, I don't get it. And you know, man, you talked a lot about what was taken from you. You know, you've become kindreds with Kathy Tolliver, and you've met some. We were together at a lunch a couple weeks ago, and with some victims of violence, and they talk about. I don't think people understand how similar these circumstances are. You've heard me say about Devin and Allie that they couldn't be more different or more alike. Neither one of them had this coming. And then in the aftermath of that, there is this initiative named after these kids, and you won't be able to talk public safety in Baton Rouge without being able to call Devin and Allie's name. I hope that gives you some semblance of purpose to at least her name.
Absolutely. Figuring out what exactly is the right thing to do as a result of this it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you feel like it's monumental. It's there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you know, but being able to lend her name to something that is positive,
Yep.
you know, from a prevention angle, from a detection angle.
That's right.
And just having her name attached to it so people will remember why this is there.
Right.
We certainly appreciate it, and we're honored to have her name.
Well, you know, the Inspiration Center starts construction, as I said, later this week as this airs, and we've got 2 computer labs in the building. One will be the Devin Page Junior Learning Center. The other will be the Live Like Allie Technology Center. And there's going to be a picture of Allie in the room. And
it has been over 30 years since the O.J. Simpson murder trial kicked off. And we have a conversation with one of the principal players in the investigation. I will introduce you to him next. He's one of the co-authors of the book Evidence Dismissed, but most prominently, he was one of the lead investigators in the O.J. Simpson murder trial. His name is Tom Lang, an LAPD detective, retired, former Marine. We've had a number of conversations, and he was on the C-Suite several weeks ago, a show that's still growing in numbers on YouTube, talking about the process of arresting one Orenthal James Simpson.
And just spend a couple minutes talking about it. Obviously, hearing Tom, you may recognize his voice because he was the officer on the phone when Simpson was in the slow speed chase on the 5 freeway in AC Callen's Bronco driving around. You were talking with him, and to cut quickly through the beginning, you talked with someone who had his number. You called him. You talked with him all on the way to his house. I mean, you lost the connection a couple times. Tell me about that experience and what you were thinking as you were talking with him as he was approaching his home.
Okay, well, I was, obviously, it was the morning, that Friday morning, he was to turn himself in, and
Right.
he never did.
Right.
There's another story there. Phil and I wanted to just go out and make the arrest, bring him in, no problems. The brass wanted a perp walk, as they call it. They had to have the media involved, and this is what they ended up with. A pile of crap. It was terrible. So I walked in, I'm feeling bad. Well, we got to find this guy. He's taking off with AC. And so I'm at my desk, putting stuff around, taking a couple of calls, and we got a TV like I have here up in the corner. And somebody said, hey, Simpson's on the TV. And it's all with a so-called slow-speed pursuit. And I said, oh, shit. Now we're into it. This went on for a few minutes, and then I said, talking to Patty Jo Fairbanks at the DA's office, and she says, you know, he's got that mobile phone. I said, yeah. I said, well, I got his number right here on my desk. I says, what? Give me his number. And so she gives me his number, and I'm thinking, he's not going to pick up anyway, but I got to do something. Now he's got a gun. Somebody says, hey, he's got a gun. So everybody, oh my gosh, what is he going to do with a gun? So I get him, I call in, he picks up the second ring. He said, Jesus, yeah, it's Tom Lang. Oh, and the guy, one of our guys runs out, grabs the tape recorder, comes out. So he missed the first few minutes, but he's moaning about this and moaning about that. So we get the tape recorder hooked up, and there were like 3 or 4 calls after that because we kept losing him. And I kept calling back, and he kept answering. Now, once we find out he's got the gun, and he's obviously he's either very tired, he's under the influence. He doesn't know what he's doing at this point. I don't think a sociopath would kill himself. If you love yourself, you're not going to kill yourself.
Right.
However, he's got a gun. You got to figure the gun is real. You got to assume it's loaded, and you got to assume he will use it.
Mm-hmm.
Got all these cops at his rear end. He's got AC in the front. He's got himself. I don't want to blow his brains out, because that's kind of my job. We want to find out what happened before you do that. There's all these people now that are running out of the freeway because it's slow speed. They're banging on the car to get closer in. So I keep calling him back. The only thing I want to do is keep his mind off of the gun and in our conversation. I'm not trying to get a confession out of him or anything else. It's all about the gun. Drop the gun, throw the gun out the window. That was the only thing that I had on my mind to do at the time. And this went on for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that till we got him back to his house, and the rest, as they say, is history.
I always enjoy talking with Detective Lang. This has been fun. We'll do this again, and we'll feature some of our on-location broadcasts. We've been to Don Juan Cigar Bar, Jada Cody's backyard. There was a weird conversation about potato salad in that one that you just have to see it when it airs. Just really, really, really nasty. Also, Alec Box Stadium with Jay Johnson. We did that, so it's been fun. In fact, we got one with GOSEP that just aired this week, talking about hurricane season with Jay Grimes and Steve Caparata again. So we enjoy the C-Suite. We appreciate you watching every week. Next week's show is ahead of the greatest holiday of the year, Father's Day. How amazing is that day? Breathe it in, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you on the next show.